Hey, what's up? It's your boy BobbySapphire, and today we are going to be talking about Set 3 meta staples. And I don't know what you're thinking, but I bet it's something like, these things are fixtures of the meta. That's not what staples are. Staples are things that connect two cards to one another. We're going to talk about leaders and the Set 3 cards that should be stapled to your leader. Check it out. All right, so why are we looking at staples of the meta? There's two reasons. One, it lets me talk about some of the cards that I think are strongest, not only in the set, but that are going to be strong within the Set 3 meta. Two, when we think about these cards as stapled to the leaders, when we face those leaders, we'll have a better idea of what we're going to face in those respective decks. This is like another in a series of just sort of like educational, how do I get better at the game sort of videos. Maybe you checked out my level up your game video from set 1. If you haven't, a lot of the principles in there are meant to be evergreen, so you can take a look at that. If you're just looking to think about like how I should think about what my opponent could be doing and could be in their deck, or your advanced sideboarding. A lot of times if we know what our opponent's playing, it lets us sideboard a lot better, lets us figure out what to cut and what to bring in. A great example of a guy who has a lot of cards stapled to him is Boba Fett. If you've played against Boba Fett, I bet you have, you know to expect that he's got certain cards in his deck every single time. And you know that if Boba Fett's on the table, you're going to face a Fett's Fire Spray. That card is in there. There's no way someone's playing without it. These are immutable. Boba Fett's armor. Very few people play Boba Fett without Boba Fett's armor, but you should expect it because it's one of the strongest plays. It's stapled to this deck list. Another one, if you're playing against a green Boba, Overwhelming Barrage, you know you have to play around that. You can either increase your booty, make sure that you have a lot of HP on the table, or kill all their units as soon as they're out, especially larger units, so you don't get barraged off the table. And if you're playing against a yellow Boba, you know Cunning's in there. There's no way someone's playing yellow Boba Fett without Cunning. So these are what I mean by staples. These cards are stapled to them. When you see Boba Fett, you expect to see these cards. Let's look at some other leaders and see what cards are going to be stapled to them from Set 3. All right, I want to touch briefly on Set 3 leaders for a second. I think that there are a couple cards that are going to be really obviously stapled to these leaders. I also think that a lot of the Set 3 leaders are not going to break into the current meta. I don't see the strength in them, but if 4 were going to break in, I think these would be my 4. You know, it's possible that Yoda could as well, but I wanted to pick 4, so this is what I did. The first one, Plo Koon and Quinlan Vos. I think, you know, being able to flip Quinlan with 7 HP, he's going to survive pretty much whatever your opponent can throw at him if you build a board, and I think Plo Koon will just be, if you see that Yellow Hero Jedi Force Republic trait package, that Plo Koon's going to be there. For Newt Gunray, I think you're definitely going to always see droid deployment. You should expect that, you know, to turn on Rune's leader side ability, 2 things have to die, and so you're going to be wanting to sacrifice and exploit battle droids as often as possible. So I think like you can always expect to see ground battle droids turn 1, or that's what your opponent's hoping to do. For Count Dooku, and honestly, Poggle could go in any villain deck at this point, especially ones with exploit. But if you're going to play Count Dooku, you need to play Poggle. He's a way to like get that machine running. And then for General Grievous, very similar to the Boba's armor, I think you have to play the wheel bike. I think Grievous is probably a little slept on for Set 3, and I think this wheel bike is one of the reasons why he could really pop off. So again, I like you might see Yoda, but otherwise, like, these are the leaders I expect to do something in Set 3. Now, for the bulk of the video, what I really want to do is dig into like the expected meta leaders and what to see out of Set 3 in each of those. All right, first up is Kira. Kira has a new card that I think is really hot, and that's the Calculating Magna Guard. When played or when a friendly unit is defeated, this card gets Sentinel. Not only can Kira end up like killing your own guys by using her ability, but this gives 3/4 Sentinel is so strong in this deck, and you're able to shield it with her ability as well. It's just a little bit stronger than the 3/3s that we've been sitting on. So I really like this card. Also, this card is an amazing card to pull with Vader. So I expect Vader to have, you know, I expect Kira to have this card in the deck because of how, you know, the buff we finally have. An always Sentinel that's a 3/4. Not always Sentinel, it's conditional, but the condition's going to be met when we need it. So I really like Calculating Magna Guard. I would expect to see that in a lot of Kiras. For Rey, my girl, I have a spicy one. I think this is a card that's really slept on, but it really takes rebuilding all of the Ray decks to do it, and that's Captain Typho. When played on attack, do you know I like Sentinel? Give a unit Sentinel for the phase. The reason why I like this is because like all the Ray decks are essentially the same. They play like the same curve. What Captain Typho lets you do is not play that curve so heavily. Like you might not have to play Conquer Dawn Interceptors if you're just playing other really good ships. By being able to give everything that you have Sentinel for such a cheap cost, it's going to allow you to like free yourself of deck building. So I really look forward to playing around with Captain Typho. I think now that this guy's printed, you have to be ready for anything to gain Sentinel against Ray at any time. All right, Boba Fett. Could he get another card? Do you need another card for Boba Fett? It's Cad Bane. I was pretty like mid on this card. Like I knew that it was strong, but now that I've actually played some set 3 and I've captured 3 things, it's insane. The other day, my opponent played a Maul into me to kill my Boba Fett, and then also had a Ruthless Raider out, and Cad Bane just captured the Maul and the Ruthless Raider. Just took them both off the board, a 6-drop and a 7-drop. It was pretty insane, and yeah, I won that game. I think Cad Bane is cracked, and I think if people are playing Boba without Cad Bane, it might be a mistake. Where does he fit in that 7-drop triumvirate of Cad, Boba, and Cad, Maul, and Vader? I'm not sure, but I'm leaning Cad. All right, next up is Han 1. Han 1 is a deck that got really, really popular at the end of the Set 2 meta. It's obviously really, really strong, and one card I think we're going to see staple to Han is Ahsoka Tano. A little awkward on turn 1 that she can't get her ambush unless your opponent like somehow plays 2 units. But what I like about her is that she's still the 3/4 body that outclasses every other play that's going to be turn 1. And the return this unit and each upgrade on her to your hand, I think is kind of busted in Han. I think that, you know, when you run yourself out of cards with Han early, this can be a really good way to stay in the game in terms of like getting a card back. You can also ambush her in the mid game when you maybe if in a green version you've resupplied or something and you didn't, or you can lead on Spark of Rebellion. I think there's a lot of utility to this version. Obviously, some Hans go with a full Rebel version that she wouldn't go to. I also think that this leads to a potentially really sneaky red Han situation with Force Throw, but because of all the yellow hero units we got in this set, so that are also Force and Jedi. So just in general, I think Ahsoka, if she's going to fit anywhere, I would put her in Han Solo. All right, the other Han Solo, the risk Han Solo. What card is this Han Solo going to be playing? I think it's Steela Guerrera. Han Blue especially plays all those tactic removal cards, and Steela lets us play, like we could play her for 3 with Han's ability. We don't care if she has 1 HP. Like, she's not there to live. She's there to get us a card, and when played and when defeated. So it actually behooves us to make it a little bit easier for people to kill her, because we're going to get so much card advantage. One of the things that Han Solo does as a control deck is, or poorly rather, is draw cards. A lot of times, like when I'm playing Rey against this Han, I feel like I'm outclassing it because I'm able to get the draw engine online. What Steela does is it lets you get 1, probably 2 removal cards, something like a Takedown, a Fell the Dragon, a Make an Opening, and get us to the late game where we can play Great Dragon. All right, Kylo Ren. I wanted a villain red card. I got to tell you, the red cards in this set I think are really, really mopey. But one that I think is awesome for Kylo is the OOM Series Officer. It's a 2/1. And it costs 2, which like isn't ideal for Kylo's curve. Like, he really wants to dump out as many guys as he can. But what I love about the OM Series Officer is the when defeated, deal 2 damage to a base. Too often we play on a go wide deck, we play these really understated low cost guys that are so easy to kill and don't end up doing anything. But this guy's perfect because Kylo does a lot of damage fast, and the times when he doesn't deal damage is when you're able to control his board before they attack. Now, the OOM series, he always attacks. You know, he might not literally attack, but if they kill it, he still did his 2 damage. He did his job. You're under arrest. All right, Palpatine. Palpatine got a spicy one too. Poggle the Lesser. There's a lot of good cards for Palp in this set. I wanted to pick one. Actually, I ended up picking 2, but Poggle's insane, and you'll see, every time you play a unit, you can exhaust them to make a battle droid. Palp, one of the things that like my teammate Wu did really well when I was testing Palpatine is just like kill all my stuff. and just, win the game when I've run out of cards. Poggle and Confederate Courier are two cards that when they die, or sorry, Confederate Courier when he dies makes a battle droid token, and Poggle when you play things creates a battle droid token. So this allows you to have an engine for Emperor Palpatine so that you have cheap ways to never run out of gas on the draw card. So I think these two cards alone are really going to push Palpatine into the upper echelon. Can it beat Sabine? Probably not, but we'll keep trying. Boba Fett Green. Admiral Yularen is one that I don't think a lot of people are expecting to put in Boba Fett. A lot of people play Boba Fett Daimyo to be a heavy ambush deck. But what I like about Yularen is, one, he has a keyword to trigger Boba Fett's ability. And he makes all those ambush units that you have, like the modded cohorts and stuff, have that extra booty when you start needing to get into ambush range. Also you can buff this guy to a 3/5 a lot of the time with Boba's ability. So I think this is a sneaky include in Boba, and I expect a lot of people to come around and see how much that Yularen's stat buff is actually going to turn the rest of this deck on in a way that, like, you're not just trading, but you're keeping things out, which is Boba Fett Daimyo's like biggest drawback in my opinion. All right, that was a little lightning round. I wanted to go fast to just make sure you could get all that information as quickly as possible. Those are the cards that I think that are really, really strong in set 3 that are going to be absolute staples of the meta by being stapled to the leaders that we're expecting in the meta. So make sure you're thinking about, when you see a leader across from you, what's this guy playing from the new set? What did Bobby tell me? I was probably playing Poggle the Lesser.